In a world reshaped by disruption and driven by innovation, one summit has stood at the forefront of transformation. The Times Group ET Now Global Business Summit. Since 2015, this prestigious platform has brought together the brightest minds, visionary leaders, policymakers, and global pioneers to chart the course of business and society. With India's Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi as a guiding force, GBS has ignited bold conversations, unveiling groundbreaking strategies that drive progress and prosperity. As GBS 2025 takes center stage under the theme Evolve, Emerge, Expand, the world's foremost thought leaders explored the seismic shifts shaping the global economy and shed light on how can nations adapt. How can businesses thrive? How do we expand possibilities in an interconnected world? This is where the future is reimagined. Witness a fireside chat with Aman Gupta, co-founder and CMO of Boat. He talked about the belief and hustle behind building an iconic brand. Here is a sneak peek of the session.
If you ask me about my life, I've been hustling, yeah, for sure. Starting from जब बोट बना रहे थे तब से लेके आज तक हसल जरूरी है क्योंकि आपको एक टाइम पे 10 चीजें करने की ज़रूरत होती है, राइट? जब हम स्टार्ट भी कर रहे थे तो इट वाज नॉट कि वी हैड एवरीबडी, लाइक वी हैड द CEO और द CFO और द CRO और द CHRO. जब तुम खुद स्टार्ट करते हो तो यू आर एवरीबडी. You are CEO, CFO, CHRO, CTO yourself. You are also the manager, you are also the executive. तो मुझे याद है मैं क्रोमा जाता था और वहाँ जाके जैसे वो DDLJ में वो साड़ी दिखाता है ना शाहरुख, तो पीछे से खड़े होकर यूं करता है, वो बुआ जी को तो साड़ी दिखाते हैं. तो सेम मेरे साथ हाल था कि मैं स्पीकर ले जाके रख देता था क्रोमा में, महेश होते थे उनके सामने, और कहता था और उसमें अपना गाना चलाता था. फिर उनको देखता था, उनकी शक्ल कि देखने के लिए कि क्या रिएक्शन आ रहा है, राइट? whether he's liking it, whether he's not liking it. I remember I was only one employee, Raj, and he was our sales head, but he was also doing everything else. So he used to go for, रात को फ्लिपकार्ट की डिलीवरी होती थी 12 बजे, BBD से पहले डिलीवरीज हो रही होती थी, लास्ट मिनट फाइट होती थी, और वो डिलीवरी वैन में जाके भी डिलीवरी कर चुका है, राइट? सो यू नो, एज अ फाउंडिंग टीम, स्टार्टअप founders have to hustle at a different level. I think that, you know, that's part of us.
That's what defines it.
Next in line was a very engaging panel discussion where influential speakers shared insights on success, resilience, growth, adaptability, persistence, and multifaceted careers. The topic of discussion was To the Brim, Building Without Boundaries, Scaling Without Limits. Here are some takeaways from the session.
First up, again, Ankur, I'll start with you only. You've got a fantastic digital presence. It's important to be candid, but it's important to be, what you're putting out there is also kind of a message that people have to, you're hoping they'll follow it also. So it's got to be right in a way. I mean, there's no right or wrong, but you know what I'm trying to say. Candid, vulnerable. How do you manage that balance?
I think the test always is, am I being authentic to myself? So the filter that I apply is, if you were to meet me in real person, would you say you look very similar to the person I meet on YouTube or on Insta or any place else? And if that is happening, then you're home, because it's a worse way to live life if you are a certain persona and then you have to build up a complete different facade and put up another mask in front of other people. And I personally don't want to live that life at all. So it's just the easiest place to be, where you are by yourself. If you make a mistake, you own up. If you mispronounce a certain word while you're shooting something, you will like, let it be. If you are just creating something where you know that you've done everything, but yet, despite your best efforts, something was wrong, you fix it, like Sarthak. And I think what we all, I would believe so, are extremely privileged to have is feedback, whether we want it or not.
Saiba, live presenting. I want to talk to you about that. So I've also done, like clearly you saw my mic went off, and I'm sure those kind of things happen a lot with you. How do you move on from that? What I'm trying to do is, how do you keep going without letting that impact you? And if you would be kind enough to share maybe one of the worst live presenting moments, faux pas that happened and you had to overcome and carry on.
I mean, news is the toughest, I feel, because information giving is, I think, so crucial and such a big responsibility that it's daunting. But the worst thing about, and the best thing about life is, about everyone should know, is never talk about something you don't know in life. Because just in case a question comes or something comes, you cannot be mute, you cannot be dull, you can't be, I have no idea, I'm sorry, I can't talk about this. So my mantra is never even 1 centimeter close to a topic I do not know about. But a lot of goof ups happen when, when you're in live, you have at least 10 voices in your ear. And trying to identify who's saying what, my earpiece stopped working. I have no idea who's saying what I have to say, who's going to come up next, and I'm just marrowing jokes. That humor was my defense mechanism, even on stage or on live television. But what keeps me going is the thrill. I think the dopamine hit actually really, really works. And going on stage and in front of live television, in front of the entire country, which you're talking about sensitive things, and cricket is a religion. And if you say anything about cricket, it can really hurt sentiments. So just say it with a smile and just say that you just be very confident. I know what I'm saying and it's fine.
Barkha, since we started talking about sports, I know you were cheering the Indian athletes at the Paris Olympics. How do you kind of define these special moments? What I'm trying to say is that, here you're acting and stuff. We see you now on OTT, and also you're in everybody's home, you're on the mobile, etc. We see you, but here you're doing something very different, something close to the heart, I'm sure. How do you, your kind of thought process, how you're redefining stardom, how you're redefining what your thoughts are?
Stardom. Excuse me. Okay. I guess for that, like to accept that term, we have a very, very, very long way to go, for me at least. But I think taking from this term stardom, I think it's very different now than what it used to be. For any film actor or movie actor, being exclusive or being, like where people don't have access to you except your films, used to be the definition of stardom. And now it has evolved to a time and place where you need to be relevant for people to be able to connect to you. Because there's an influx of so many different platforms, whether, as you rightly said, there's OTT, there's films, there's web films, now there's television plus, and like it's just constantly multiplying, right?
And even social media is giving them access, where you do those AMAs on Instagram, stuff like that.
Exactly, and now it's almost come to a point where there's a symbiotic relationship between your professional career or journey as an actor and the relationship between acting and having a strong social media presence, and that can be in anything. Now again, as Saiba said, only talk about things you know. So I know a lot about travel and it's things that interest me, which is why those are the things I stick to.
So Yashraj, we've established sports, we've established travel. I'm coming to you, क्योंकि आपका one mega viral hit was रसोड़े में कौन था. Then there was that little sweet girl saying आज तो Sunday है, राजमा चावल बनाए. तो मतलब आप सिर्फ food के बारे में ही बनाते हैं?
I am a foodie, and I actually had a plan of making an album of just desserts. So first song of it is already out. It's called Rasmalai, and there's Gulab Jamun next, there's Jalebi next. So yeah, so
loving it.
This is a hit already.
Yeah, one is out. More coming.
Since our topic is to the brim, so I'd just like everyone to maybe give me one to the brim moment of their life. So Sarthak, if you could start, and then we'll go down.
I think it's more like living on the edge, and I typically don't tie it to an output, like hitting this number in business or otherwise. I link it to input. So typically in my life, I live by a checklist that every day if there are 5 things I need to do, which is if I need to put out a piece of content, if I need to have these many glasses of water, hit my 10,000 steps, get these many hours of sleep, get this resting rate on my Whoop or whatever that is, I just need to ensure it happens even if it's 1 a.m. in the night and my wife's like, come on, we need to sleep. I have to do it. And I think that is my guilty pleasure, the way I live, regardless of whether that video gets 1 view or 10K view or 1 million, I don't care. If I have to get done with that checklist, that is every day.
When I was in corporate, I was working at Zomato. And whilst working at Zomato, I had done 2 web series. One was Tanav and the other was Bard of Blood. It's on Netflix. And then I got into content creation. And towards the end, then I moved to Unacademy. So during this time, I kind of figured that humans are supposed to have multiple skills and multiple talents. And society has kind of normed it that yehi karna hai ek cheez, that you've come to this world to do one thing. And if you don't do one thing, they don't have the faith in you कि ये तो time pass कर रहे हैं, ये तो confused हैं. But I don't think you're confused. I think you're multi-talented. And I think being able to actually do those 2-3 things was the fact that this can be something that the next generation can pick up. Everyone can pick up multiple careers. Everyone can have multiple talents. Everyone can have multiple passions. And it's okay to do them all.
How many of you here have seen the movie Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge? Yeah, I'd be very worried if you haven't. I don't know if you remember this scene. It's one of my favorite scenes from the movie, and it was perhaps the most inconsequential scene of the movie. Simran की दादी चारपाई पे है, गांव के पिंड या sorry पंजाब के पिंड में, surrounded by her sons, daughters, everyone that she loves, her entire family. She looks well, healthy, all is nice. And she basically says कि मैंने ज़िंदगी बड़ी अच्छी जी है. And then she goes on to say कि मैं चाहती थी कि सिमरन का ब्याह हो जाए, तो जो शादी एक हफ्ते बाद हो सकती थी वो 2 दिन बाद भी हो सकती है. But that's not the larger point. The larger point is I remember as a college student watching that movie, and when I heard those words from her mouth, मैंने ज़िंदगी बड़ी अच्छी जी है, it almost became like this life mission of mine कि मुझे सिमरन की दादी बनना है. Like that's my goal. I would love to have a life where I'm on my deathbed and I'm not on some hospital bed, I'm not in some hospice, I'm surrounded by people that I love. I am all warm, nice in the home that perhaps I've built with love and care and so on. And the only words that come out of my mouth are "Maine zindagi badi achhi ji hai." And that guiding light just serves such a wonderful North Star, perhaps for me and hopefully for all of you as well, that if you have some life principle that you want to hold till the end, and just in a moment of doubt, ask yourself, am I being compliant to that life principle or that North Star? It certainly makes decision-making a lot easier. It doesn't make life easier, because life is still going to go through your shit and you'll have to go through your ups and downs, but it almost consciously tells you, this is what you have to follow, listen to your heart, and go out and do that.
Barkha, your turn.
So I come from a military background. Everyone since generations, mom's side, dad's side, have always been in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Army, Navy, Air Force. So there was no one from this field per se. No one's acted, no one's done anything. Max to max civil mein doctor ban gaya. Growing up, I was always inclined in dramatics and all of that. And bachpan mein I'd done like a couple ads and all shock mein, but never professionally. So I'd started doing it professionally, and at that time, only it was ads, films or television. And 1-2 साल करके I realized कि मुझे बिल्कुल नहीं मजा आ रहा है वो करने में. I hated it. So that was a moment for me where I was like, okay, now I need to do something. So I just took some time off. I sat and that's when OTT platforms weren't there yet. Like there was no Netflix here in India, there was no Prime, etc. Sif TVF shows bana raha tha, Filter Copy was making shows. So that's something I just tried my hand at. Actually, more than tried, I really kind of hounded them, saying that I want to do a video, I'll do it for free, but like I want to do it, like at least try it out. So that was my moment where I was like, you know, now I don't have a choice. I can't go back to a job because I've already wasted. How do I explain that in an interview? And I want to kind of prove a point. So that's when it happened. And then one thing led to another and things worked.
Super, fantastic. Yashraj, your turn.
मेरा पहले से I was always inclined towards music. But my mom had this thing की degree करूँगे त्यानंतर तुला काय करायचं कर. Means once finish your degree and then you can do whatever you want. Will never stop you. And their only concern was कि just don't fail. Just pass and finish your degree. Just don't fail. And somehow I ended up doing engineering, electronics and telecommunication engineer. I went to the college, and the first moment I entered, I realized this is not something I want to do. This every second here, I'm just going to struggle to get through that. But I somehow managed to get to the final semester, and I had 2 subjects that were I had failed in 2 subjects. और end semester का ऐसा होता है कि if you don't pass in all the subjects in the last semester, you have to wait for another 6 months, then give the exam, then wait for the degree for the next year. It's a long process. All I had in mind was that अगर मैं ये last exam अगर नहीं दूंगा तो मैं फिर music करने में मुझे time लग जाएगा, 1 साल का delay हो जाएगा. तो मुझे ऐसा लगा कि इस semester में तो इतनी पढ़ाई कर लूँगा कि मुझे यहाँ से निकलना है, क्योंकि मुझे नहीं जाना रोज सुबह 10 बजे 5 बजे तक वहाँ पर उस सर का चेहरा देखो और फिर घर आके सोचो कि मैं क्यों दिन भर मैंने क्या वेस्ट किया. सो आई गेव माई एवरीथिंग टू दैट लास्ट सेमेस्टर एंड आई पास्ड. and I got my degree. And the day I finished the exam and I got back and I went to my studio and I made something really amazing. And I had that euphoria moment. I don't know what to say, but I just lost it completely. And I made like 4 new tunes on that day. And yeah, so that was my to the brim moment. Yeah.
Source of inspiration as well. Ladies and gentlemen, huge round of applause for my panelists. Thank you so much for all of you for taking out time and sharing your stories. Absolute pleasure.
After the invigorating panel discussion, it was time for a very exclusive interaction with the Managing Director of Suntory Global Spirits India, Neeraj Kumar. Let's take a look.
We're here on the sidelines of the Global Business Summit 2025, and I'm in conversation with Neeraj Kumar, the Managing Director of Suntory Global Spirits India. Sir, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you for having me here.
Sir, if I could ask you to walk down memory lane and highlight some of the major milestones in your growth story and your ambitions for the Indian market in particular.
Yeah, I mean, the category I represent is spirits. And the spirits category in India has seen a massive catapulting around trends, around premiumization, around sustainable scale. When I look back, and I've been with our brands now for about 21 years, and they've had a massive kind of story and a compelling connect with consumers over years. We are looking at consumers who are young. It's a country of 27 median age, wanting to try new experiences. It's a country of rapidly emerging billionaires on the top, with close to 300 billionaires now in India. So our portfolio has been in the forefront, trying to be relevant for billionaires, in whether it's sitting in Mumbai or Delhi or Hyderabad or Bangalore or even a smaller town, and a first jobber coming into Gurgaon or one of the firms and wanting to get easy and cheerful experience. So Suntory Global Spirits in India has been blessed with a very, very powerful portfolio. We believe that's a portfolio for the future.
And sir, you mentioned a few important factors, one of which was growing affluence. It's not just growing disposable income in this country, it's the growing affluence. How does that ultimately factor into your decision making when it comes to product portfolio design?
I think today's luxury consumer is looking for authenticity, is looking for craftsmanship, is looking for brands which can resonate with their lifestyle. At Suntory, we have taken this as a very important vertical or focus area, and the Indian consumer, with their travel kind of appetite at the moment, 50 million consumers, passengers travel out. They come back with experiences in Michelin star restaurants. So I think Suntory's portfolio is placed well to be able to target very specifically occasions which are very relevant to that affluent consumer cohort. Also very specific to occasions within, let's say, a big fat Indian wedding is a week, and that week will have multiple occasions for consumers to choose what they want to serve. I think the portfolio makes it very relevant for Indian consumers. The affluence will not go away. I think we are poised to be adding more billionaires. We are probably going to be the largest billionaire set in the world as we look at 2030. And that is going to be an important driver of how we define prestige as a strategic intent in our portfolio. So we've identified brands which matter for that cohort. We've identified cities which matter, and those cities, of course, are Mumbai and Delhi, but also destination venues and for weddings like Udaipur or Jaipur, where there is going to be a global audience coming through. And that consumer is also, apart from price and apart from quality, is looking for sustainable practices in how we create our products. So therefore, packaging which is sustainable, coming across as a portfolio of relevance to the Harun list of billionaires in India, I think that's really where our focus will be. So there is a very specific effort, and I think it's a very exciting space for our brands and our portfolio to be in.
Well, sir, if I could take the conversation a bit closer to home, and by way of closing comments here, how within the 4 walls of Suntory Global Spirits India are you going about creating a more inclusive culture such that employees across all levels of the totem pole, all levels of the food chain are aligned with your underlying business objectives.
Yeah, and that's such an important topic. When we look at the work Suntory has been able to do with 40,000 employees around the world and close to more than 500 in India, I think our tenets of diversity is where we really started to make this journey felt more closer home. I'm very proud that in the last 6 years, we are about 30% gender diverse teams in our company. And that is quite significant when I look at even top FMCG firms in this country. They would probably have sales teams which are more male oriented. So how do you instill both? First of all, safety, as we have teams going out in the night, in the day, as they are in front of bartenders and consumers. That was an important element. The second, of course, is bringing engagement live in everything we do. I do believe that our organization should reflect the broad spectrum of consumers we market to or we sell to. So if the consumers are looking at a certain way they relate to any product, be it beverages and spirits or any other, our teams should reflect and be able to understand that. So therefore, we've had this fairly important exercise in the company to make sure that when we talk to our bartenders, build the community of bartenders, or when we talk to the top 30 bars, which the top 30 bar in India, we do a lot of partnership with, or the top 50 Asia bars, bringing them over, talking about ingredients which are relevant and are sustainable. So I think that's the story which will make it very, very close to home to even somebody who wants to join Suntory. Employee value propositions today are not about just the salaries or the remuneration. It's all about the culture. It's about what do they get. Work from home versus work-life balance is an important element of what today's workforce requires. So there is enough and more empathy to all of this. We do believe in the 60-40 rule. When it's important, we need to be in the market. Gemba, the word I used. But when you have to be flexible, as long as the job is done, you can be home and working from home 3 days out of 5 in a week, which is also a policy of the company. So it's quite flexible. And I think that's worked well for us. Technology, AI, disruptive tech is also guiding a lot of this. But ultimately, we are a company and a category of human connections. So we can't, disruptive tech, AI cannot be in isolation, and therefore bringing our teams back into that conversation, our channel partners back in the conversation, our bartender teams and our advocacy teams back in the conversation is going to be very important. So I think it's a huge signal to diversity. Bringing that attention is very, very key to our growth, I would imagine.
Well, Neeraj, we wish you and your team all the continued success, and we look forward to seeing what Suntory Global Spirits India does next. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.